What's up, guys? It's Yank here with 47 North Gaming, here wishing you a happy Veterans Day. Yeah, it's November 11th. Anyway, I'm doing an episode here in FSX. This is Just Flight's P38J. I got it as a demo on, I think it was like a PC Pilot magazine, probably like 5-6 years ago. Pretty cool plane. I've considered buying the whole thing, but it's like I don't need all the liveries in this. Actually is a fully functional demo. Doesn't seem to have an altitude restriction, but well, you know, I've flown this thing everywhere actually. I actually did a flight from the US all the way out to Europe, you know, bouncing around, and it is fully VFR, but that was pretty cool. Cool thing is you can remove those drop tanks there. We're going to just have them in place as of right now, which is fine. And so anyway, I'm going to open up the cockpit and we will jump on in there. So, there we go. This is the cockpit of the P38. We're going to close the lid there. It doesn't model it from inside the cockpit, just because this is a one of those virtual cockpit plates, I guess. We've got analog clock. Cool, that is working. Actually, I haven't been in this plane in a while, so I don't remember where half the switches are. But yeah, we've got I believe it's over here is where I need to do a thing. Mixture. Open up the mixture all the way. This is cowl flaps. We'll leave alone. Oh, that is the feather. Okay. We'll leave that. And oh yeah, there's dive recovery flaps on this. There is, man, I haven't flown this plane in ages. Flaps, generators. Magneto, haha. Haha, I still remember. I just couldn't remember where it was. So we got the left on. I'll zoom out here just so you guys can see that spin up. Come on. There we go. Aha. And the pressure will build there. Cool. Alright, so we are good to roll out. I'm actually going to taxi this from outside. One, because the outside is just beautiful, but two, kind of hard to see in there. So, I mean, even look, you've got load markings. I mean, this is a pretty detailed plane, especially considering it's free. Now, granted, this was a demo of a payware, and it is not something that is publicly available unless you're able to get your hands on one of those magazines. So anyway, what I was thinking to do today, we'll turn on the lights. What I was thinking we were going to do today is just take a little fly around the Hawaii, Honolulu area, since we are going to depart actually from Pearl Harbor, just because it is Veterans Day that we are going to be doing. We are going to fly fly an older aircraft, so pretty cool. Alright, so we'll get lined up here. Not going to use any flaps for takeoff, I don't think, because this is a pretty high performance aircraft, if you can't tell by the two very large engines on this plane. I'll give you some facts once we get into the air about the P-38 if you're unfamiliar about it. I'm going to line her up here. Make sure we are good to go. Set. And so we'll throttle on up and get out of here. Cool. Settle in there. Settle in. Yeah, I'm just fully estimating because I forgot to go back into the cockpit and I don't want to at this point. So, there we are. Okay, gear up. And into the sky we go. This plane, though, is absolutely gorgeous, so what a perfect setting to be flying her in. Alright, we'll pull throttle back there. Alright, what I was going to do is I'm going to turn Easy Dock back on. Global enable. And I'll pull up the Easy Dock. Oop. The Easy Dock Studio, and let's see. I think this is the one I want. Maybe not. Oh. Is it? Can't remember how I was doing the, oh, hold on, I think, there we are. Trying to remember how to rotate that. Pans around, that's up, down. Don't remember. We'll go spot cam. Just so you guys can see this gorgeous aircraft. So here's the other fun thing about it. Oop. Yeah, I'm going to take Easy Dock off. It's kind of causing too much problems. Here's the other fun thing about it. Now, they don't actually do anything, but what it is it's built into the smoke system, but it's click and hold. And if you look underneath, at least I thought, maybe I'm thinking IL2. No, never mind. I thought it dropped shells while you're doing it. But anyway, so yeah, that is the P-38 there. So let's gonna bring that guy up. I'm in spot view just so that way we can get some really nice shots here of the plane while we're turning. Actually, what I should do is do some frontal shots. There we are. Pulling up. And push her back down. Such a well-balanced aircraft too. And this is probably one of my favorite World War II planes, just because of it's very unique in its design. It's absolutely gorgeous. So there is that going for it, for sure. Alright, so while we're up here just floating around, let me pull up my notes on the P-38 just so that way you guys have it. Just so that way you guys can know a little bit about it. So the P-38 was built by Lockheed, if you didn't know. It was nicknamed the Lightning. Gee, I wonder why, with two giant engines. Let's see. Anyway, it was produced between 1941 and 1945. Cost the U.S. just shy of $100,000 in 1944 for each one. So that's a significant price. Mainly used in the Pacific Theater, and was pretty quiet actually because of its exhaust was muffled by the turbo superchargers actually on the plane itself. So there's those turbo superchargers sitting right up there on top, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, yep, that's the turbo superchargers there. Alright, so we're actually headed towards the Honolulu airport. Let's stay clear of that airspace. We'll come over here and go towards Honolulu downtown. But anyway, P-38 was built in response to specifications from the U.S. in 1937. A little bit of turbulence there. But it was designed to be a high-altitude interceptor, which is partially why we had the twin-engine design with the turbo superchargers, so that way the engines could continue to operate at a high altitude. Yeah, it's quite an interesting, quite versatile too. Actually, you could put cannons up front. You could also, instead of having cannons, or there's also missile tubes on the bottom of this one here, but you could also put camera equipment. So camera equipment would go in the nose, and that was a nice advantage since the propellers were actually pulled back from the nose, so you wouldn't get distortion or anything like that. Pretty interesting. A little aircraft design here, and it's just unique. You're never gonna find any other aircraft like this with this, you know, forked tail, twin boom thing going on. Very unique design, very beautiful in my opinion, and very well represented here in Flight Sim. And I've got, as usual, active sky running, so it is bobbling around in turbulence. One, because there's probably winds today, but also there is, of course, you know, up and down drafts and turbulence associated with mountaintops, which we are currently around a few of those. So we'll, and the plan was pop over top of this mountain here, and we'll probably bring her back around and go land back at, shoot, is that Higgins? What was the airport? It'll come to me. I played a handful of World War II games. I don't remember. Oh well. The Pearl Harbor airstrip there. Maybe Higgins was over here. I don't know, I don't remember. But yeah, so pretty cool. One thought I did have was to fly the P-38 out of an airport that it probably would have operated out of, but it's just such a beautiful environment here in Honolulu, that I figured, well, this beautiful plane would look nice in the region, so instead I decided to just go to Pearl Harbor, since that was a World War II operating military base with some historical significance of its own. Now this, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the freeways that bottlenecked up during the attack, since it's the only one that cut to the other side of the mountain, or the island I should say, just because of the mountain tops. So we'll just come flying through here. I guess we'll go investigate those two little blips there on the water. I assume those are probably sailboats, but may as well go take a look-see. We got the airfield, of course, on the back side of the island as well. It's just such a good-looking aircraft. And handles real nicely too. I mean, it was an intercept fighter, so it did have to have some maneuverability to it, that's for sure. Actually, it has what's called dive recovery flaps, so they're the equivalent of a speed brake. But if you see those things retract, sorry, yeah, the things at the bottom of the wings that go up and down, those are the dive recovery flaps. They're basically like an air brake used to slow the descent, so that way this plane could come diving in and be able to pull out at the bottom of the dive. So we'll come flying over here. It is in fact sailboats, it looks like, so it's kind of cool. But yeah, with all the rioting and violence going on right now, it's just and the burning of the flags, it's like, come on, let's honor the veterans. If nothing else, don't burn the flag. You can say it's a right, and it is technically a right, you can do it legally, but it's just there's a difference between having the right to do it and if it is actually in fact right to do it. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to make a point during this rough time, I suppose, in the U.S. I mean, it's not really that extremely rough if you look at the extent of the world history, but it is a interesting period of time coming off of this election cycle, so just keep it in mind. Respect your veterans. Go find a veteran, give them, buy them a beer if you want, but just thank them for their services, whether they're current or otherwise. So guess we'll power up, get into a performance climb here. Get up over top of this mountain. Got some lowered visibility as we kind of just brush the tops of the bottom of the cloud. Yeah, we're gonna head back to the airfield there inside of Pearl Harbor. We'll do a little quick loop over top, and then that'll be that for an episode. It's more just a wanting to do something along the lines of somehow how can I thank veterans inside of a game without doing like a first-person shooter or something. One, because I don't really have a first-person shooter loaded up on my machine at the moment, but that's not what the even though that's what they did possibly is fight for our freedoms. Not necessarily all of them want to relive that video game or otherwise. So just going to respect that by flying the P-38 enjoying some of its awesome characteristics. Actually, what we'll do is let's do a flyover of the football stadium. I believe that's right over here. We'll do actually. Now we'll spin it over top. To bring her in nice and tight. And we'll take a tight turn over top, like so. Alright, football field and turn. Performance climb as well. Well, let's come back around. Let's get back in the cockpit for this pass, so you can enjoy the cockpit more. And then we'll do a diagonal cross over here, but we're going to do it inverted. Oh man, that's not good. Oh boy. Yeah, we just clipped some treetops there. A little bit of shaving going on. Oh, what's that? Oh, that's nice looking. Didn't know that was there. Alright, we'll make one more pass. This time not crash. Probably won't go inverted, just so we don't. Actually, it even says Hawaii on it. Nice. Alright, so that pass is probably way too low for an actual pass, but I was interested in reading what the field said, and it actually does in fact say Hawaii on it. So I'll be darned. Alright, so we're gonna do a slow pass over the memorial that's there, and we'll call that good. So we're doing a full flaps out. We're not going to do gear for this pass. Yeah, I think I'm going to try to line up a nice shot, if I can. A nice low pass over top, if possible. Yeah, that'll work. Alright, so we'll do something like that. Yeah, that'll work. Isn't that gorgeous, though? Guess we'll do easy dock and world cam. Oh, this is in fact the world. New, we want to go aircraft. Potentially. Huh, that was interesting. World's kind of freaking out. Alright, we'll just go back to here. We'll disable that. Let the textures load back in for a moment. Keep going, keep going. Alright, it's starting to look a little bit better. Alright, so anyway, we'll go in and go land this thing. So So we'll drop gear, coming over top of 2-2. And set her down. Oop, whoop, whoop, whoop. A lot of float there. Remember, she's not a... When it comes to setting her down, you gotta actually plant it. Because it's got a lot of lift, a lot of flap on that, on this particular airframe. But we'll vacate the runway. I guess I didn't put landing lights on. Oops. Alright, so we'll vacate the runway there. And we'll go park up back where we were parked up prior. But yeah, no, go out, thank a veteran for their services, for their time serving. Definitely something to do. Man, I love that even on this, if you notice, like while we've been taxiing around, is the engine RPMs are slightly different, as to be expected. None of the engines really run exactly the same RPM precisely, especially back in the day. So you would get the props to spin at different speeds if you have the throttle position in the exact same spot for both engines. So especially on the ground when you got these slower speeds, you would get, this visual look of the props, where one would look like it's spinning faster than the other. So it's really cool that they've integrated that into this model, and I think they did that by actually changing the performance numbers of each engine. So by default, every time that you fly this plane, one engine has a little bit more power than the other, which you'll notice if you're flying in a straight line without any type of wind interference, it will make a very lazy circle. So we'll I think we'll call this good here. We'll just pull off to the side. And I'm going to jump back in the cockpit here. And look how clear these gauges are too. They're absolutely gorgeous. You've got manifold pressure, which even dances around. Now, if you notice, there's a little bit of a black box around that. I don't know if that's just a graphical glitch on my end. I know when I've used it before, it didn't have that. So I think there's a texturing issue going on with this particular model. But yeah, you see, like, manifold pressure is the same, but if you look at the RPMs are actually different between the two engines, which is how we're getting those splits going on there. Yeah, and then these fuel gauges are onboard fuel gauges. There's not a fuel gauge for those tanks below, which to be expected. So I will park that up here. I could turn them off and let you guys watch them spool down, but if I go outside and put it straight on like so, watch inside the cowls there on the intakes there. You'll notice that there's the cowl flaps are even modeled. So we'll shut the engines down here. No, maybe not. I thought they did. Okay, maybe I was just seeing something earlier, but I guess it is what it is. But yeah, even the propellers are absolutely gorgeous in their modeling. I'm going to open up the doors. If you look in here, you've got the cannons all lined up there with their reservoirs and their belts, their feed belts and everything. So that is absolutely impressive. But yeah, that is going to do it for us this time. Let's see if there's anything else that gets opened up. Nope, it's just those two. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. And for those veterans that are watching, thank you for your service. We very much appreciate it. I am sorry our country has kind of gone into a little bit of a shit show here recently, but it is what it is. Hopefully everybody kind of calms down. If nothing else, though, thank you so much for your services. Actually, I think I did get something else to open. What is this? No, that must open with, yep, there it is. Okay. Yeah, that opens with that. Okay. And I'd never noticed that there's actually a ladder back there. Bloop. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I guess I've just never noticed. Alright, anyway, yeah, thank you so much for your service if you are a veteran, or if you are serving, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But otherwise, that is going to do it for this episode. We will catch you guys in the next one. Peace. We will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.